Native Americans, especially differential to especially American, where we are hyper Native American, where we are a hyper species body of volume science rather, abridged since semi-ancient times. Control your minds, and that identity was applied. The causes of its abridgment blamed on other things, others ourselves, and that progressed. I tell it best. Vaccines. Vaccine was more probably revealed in ancient times, in ancient times, before semi-ancient times. The science became known, criminally foreign influence. Now we could discern that self-valuable when we hear logic that summarizes history, that claims to be science regarding it. For example, so this video idea for example, I mentioned on the videos for collaboration video. He's a hyper journalist. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a licensed journalist. We can get that licensed journalist out. But first we have to have mandated law outside of interbranch follow. See, the breach method knew that everywhere that species body stands, if no one would be able to follow mandated law in time properly, and they'd have to pretend other. We're now that theater science, that theater uses of passions, emotions, as the voices, the only ones we're going to be allowed to hear, or when they use the short words right, they're going to be attached to other. See, applied were differences in whole arrays, tactically altered, where syntactically manifest we are. Now, systems tactically ulterior from that one hyper native nature, so therefore hyper native. Those short words were stolen from everybody, and everyone was to hide that. It employed all identity grounds, locations, voices to be roles. Pretend yourselves. Well, some ways the ancients had more sophistication than we do regarding understanding how to think. In some ways, the ways we do. Everything is a demonstration of how the simultaneous is increasingly valued because of how the hyper simultaneous is that identity of volume. We know that space/existence is that makes more of itself through what is temporary. And we know the temporary volume/S, individually grouped and together. They were applied, they were assigned values to each other. Then further abridged. Then further, real motivations, nature's needs, will, things above. But further, harder to discern. With nature, it keeps only nature's nature, and the value of that is a distinct identity. Even all the words are uses of it. Knows that they have things, but so hyperjournalism, we have to use what is true always, not denying any exception nature, and we have to discern, even if people are lying, what is it about? What are witch trials about, even if they made them up? And beginning with knowing that to an extent they made it up. Now, where and how a breaching method made up those motivations, forced all the roles to it, with American history's worst things like slavery. The second you hear that, you know that the course of black people's whites of eyes is a bridge. You know it's not a motivation. that someone else's motivation. The means and demonstrations of that, and the needs for each age of correlation nature to use what is smart and wisdom, not to have to debate strangers, not to have the exception of all exceptions, collusion with strangers, changing the short words of every single person, relevant to some of the things that we have listed, why this program works, that which is hyper simultaneous, that which is the order of the ancient gaming system, because evolution science should only and does only feel like games, or else to sense. See, but that is tactical ulterior from how sense has been spoken for, and where and how that is now. That is increasingly self-valuing. Where and how all natures of statutes and precedents and treatments, other than formal and informal, from person A to Z, there have been treatments that have used the short words wrong. And though their own words were attached, so they were everyone too, at each age. Possession of motivations, narratives, where and how. Only 3 branches of government in every country. Those are manifest, needed for how the body is manifest, for example. Subnuclear, sub-body, sub-wall, individual body of volume, grouped body of volume simultaneously, species body of volume /S. It is relevant where and how people speak for humanity. Again, through abridgments and abridged and screening it because of the certain nature and method of child abuse that was used against middle-aged people and against elderly, multi-front, sickly, distinctly, to keep out sickly, non-distinctly from being discerned effectively. Same way he used color with the law. In our faces, through our schools. Others communicated for our founders than asked to have communicated for themselves. See, other people hyper-communicate, other than they speak. All whisper, creep, prepare, all train. And the day moves on, and so is it. Check it out, man, hear this song, y'all. When they came, when they're small. But when fact where how will sing anything that's known contrary. Yeah. So New York City, I am. Here comes this good town. This ain't all there's along. Listen, everybody. Serving this man that look at that VA house built suburb before they were divine. Free your heart now, oh mine. Say, see the white skies, that people wear. Oh, loud motion, passion, they can care. Form a voice, distinctly from the gangs. Nations of and shale. Psychology, their drugs and medication, damn base, holding lives, fake things, fire crimes. Cops said, think they know the human mind can't defend that well, they're wrong. Courts relying on the sickly mind. Order of the finite law in time. Order of the value of truth before the finite too ain't seen. I know where we're going, you don't know where we've been. Until you realize, pretend that it was only measuring your behavior and your things in time. Between the campuses, connections made for y'all. Yeah, each speaking through each other where rolling time is. I'm cheating at court, my police, my politician. Can't defend that ain't for concern. Really, Jim Crow laws were abolished. And our Jim Crow laws are about criminal insidiousness. I'm not a lawyer. Have to say that messing up the songs no one sings. What the soul wants to be sung is song now. Revolution stalled and was stalled. Free your heart, hold your mind, man, on your soul. Sing song, sing song, sing along, oh, sing along. Yeah! YouTubers in the wall, singing country music for you now. Oh, thank you. Happy holiday, they come around. Seasons to remind what binds all time and how. That nature forever make them all. Don't come from the city, don't come from those small. Don't come from the suburb, the nature how they hear. I'm gonna let the two of them only. Pretend that they do their thing is wrong. Then they defend that y'all is strong. Oh, criminal in cities is the phrase. that is required. Nature demonstrates. Make demonstration of needs, to use a phrase, criminal insidiousness to tell American history right. Boxing brings mine, but in the ring by rules. Boxing, January 6th, treated. They already did. They already prayed, pretending not all the formal voices go to mine. All to block the simultaneous blood before they don't something they belong. The hyper-native course while we are boxing like pupils, white eyes, Pamphleteers that he's been applied to other year. The courts and its plans personally when applied can't use the mail, the wire, crime methods. Yeah, they caught this time. I caught them in the north and in the south, and east and west. It just shows us all this time. I'll show you how to see it. Concern the best. Yeah, hold on. Let it less. We'll only just progress. The force is that there won't be a system from here lethal ID. Return from outer space and fixed beat with hyper peace. Criminal insidious natures of peace were applied. War. Criminal insidious natures of peace were employed. War to hide the screen to revolution. The Legion first appeared. Other nations, other cultures, prevalence as the hyperculture. When and why was the demonstration of to humanity before the sciences became criminally foreign influence. In law that unity natural, we had demonstrated naturally. The identity the sciences share, and with all exceptions in nature, to show how only one and if we care to keep them coupled, where the value of Earth's a special difference distinctly from, but as the value of our a special difference comes with the variable that's here, that's hyper clear. Listen to this song, it's everywhere. YouTube page channel Anthony Wall, youtube.com/C/Romulus Squad. Romulus Science must appear. Exceptions and exception nature show. And our part. Alpha and Omega in the body show. One course. Thank me, the hyper sound baby. In other words, hyper additional. Not isms were more effectively by breaching method applied. Breaching method classes, so all have lied. That remains the subject where how Jim Crow do, shocking all the counters and the ones that helping do. They all applied Blame it on the wrong things, hide the breach. They all have life. Fact cheating, they join, really relax. Methods, my fact cheating in the park. To upper tracks. Let's all relax. Let's all freak out. Other than their safety. To the point there. Maybe racketeering, worse than all crimes still exist. Yeah, black people's own. It coming, seems like white fish. In the ring by rules we fight. Rest by boxing, martial arts, and wrestling. In ancient time, science is shared identity, individually grouped in together. Pointed out, hyper-differential, especially mom. Thank y'all for coming out today. Okay, so really wasn't prepared for this live stream. Okay, Anthony Wall, YouTube.com. Yeah, this is what we're gonna do. So this is about the Pamphleteers. There's a bunch of video assignments we could do. And in other words, yeah, we can make the whole industry to explain history properly. There's a difference between making net positive out of negative. That's criminal insidiousness, natures of positive. And no one has made that nature of positive that is also positive unto itself. It's right. All exceptions in exception nature, in fact, effectively are being and having been employed to uses by roles with our fact human nature predicate acts delivery system method that all has stayed. That has stayed the short words of each at each age of fact human nature sickly distinctly. And or all exceptions too. They attach that person to fake words, fake ties to other, fake natures of ties to other, and they get away with it for what? For how relative to how. 15 identity ground locations are being and haven't been used, are being and have been used. Vaccines. So, for example, they pretend passions and will use words like violence is reported used throughout the networks by people, private, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, insidiousness of people A through Z, involved with that singular identity theft / fraud / slander method. How's that singular? Because it was one cause to itself, to it, alter roles with it. It tactically denatured the ground's identity of relationship to itself. And knowing that and how it's conjunctive to and how the syntax of Native Americans are conjunctive. Now tactical ulterior from capability as us all of memory proper per when and how nature shows what's going to cause positive value nature progressions, acts, and natures, and how it uses positive negative identity volume / S science and exception nature distinctly from anything that could be invented, even by everyone altogether. Vaccines, I teach us things. The species longs to tread, to shadow box. So, some rest, I tell it best, vaccine. For example, for health. Toward that walk. Now see, there is behavior racketeering that has been where we are quiet or gentle, and where we are loud and strong. We're being attached to fake gentle words. We are being, in other words, and or they're replacing where and how we are gentle. And these things are also simultaneous with relativity to all kinds of other things, vaccines. So there's a Mr. Emmett, who's one of the ones involved with some judges and prosecutors and a whole bunch of names that work with Connecticut courts and police forms involved with interbranch families through time on and off the campuses, where and how they have victims / hyper victim reactions, non-reactions, and uses of that were also recorded involved with a singular use and motivation that is hyper addition to those discerned. For example, again, where Jim Crow laws are one of our singular subjects. Where how so to recorded what is actually recorded are remote uses of forced roles with natures of identity theft, fraud, slanders that were effectively maintained self-value roles with effectively juxtaposed self-value by all roles with overt distinct natures, a plethora of distinct natures of organized crime and of methods of predicate acts delivery system against each age of fact nature that are fact nature oriented predicate acts methods that increasingly being and having been used remotely was to take collusion / S right back to all locations where and how it used and uses all identities and all identity grounds voices juxtaposed where and how simultaneously people are valuing uses of the name of the country, locations, areas, and states, leaving out as natures of and as passions uses that can't afford the order of the finite associated using with a voice using what is true always, not denying the slightest exception, and or with a voice using what is simultaneously actually recorded, not denying the slightest exception. See, what is recorded are reliances upon retired and standing interbranch and defenses and uses of names, narratives, and what they think about the significance of names like FBI, CIA, immigration, and how they change it to Homeland Security. See, these locations and people associated with them were already involved with that method, which employed that to be other things, natures of stuff to be sustained. roles with it where it knew nature would can increasingly demonstrate a breaching method as increasing relevance to questions like what were Jim Crow laws about? What are they about? They're about simultaneously roles with criminal insidiousness, positive treatments and negative treatments, and identity treatments, and the value of sequence treatments, and the value of sequence true that came as it was actually before the order of finite now. For example, that being significant because the breaching method knew that modern countries would counter things like criminal insidiousness at locations, areas, and states by blaming on other things, others, and or on selves instead of on itself, and then defending that as styles, not as natures, as criminal insidiousness, propagating it as identity ground, identity relationship to itself, where and how the electrical engineering of space/existence actually demonstrates. It's truly unclear. There's a former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, a whole bunch of ways, directly, indirectly associated with a Phil Pelot and with other people with the name Pelot on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitter. On Twitter, one of the FBI sent me an upskirt picture. Now, I don't know if he realizes, but there was a principal upskirt picked guy that was involved with other natures of child abuse before that, and I caught it. But the principal, but the police chief and others who had been around me in the past, but I never had anything to do with them. And others that I don't know at all, like a Joshua Julian. He was, as recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with people with the police forms and with the former Mayor Gold. And with other countries, with overt areas, overt criminal enterprises, private ones. Also with names on and off campuses, doing little magic tricks, sticking fake things in databases. Also relevant to where and to how passions and emotions are being pretended and motivations are being pretended. And that is manifest where and how other things are being blamed for the breaching method that caused slavery and Jim Crow laws. And that effectively maintains through others, maintaining for other motivations, nature's needs, interests, but also that maintained by it. Blaming other things other than ourselves. Where and how our founders told us to blame the breaching method, for example. So they have war crime methods. They have distinct natures of organized crime. Methods, whole methods recorded, associated with the police forms, associated with the schools. Fools! One science teacher in the neck, in spring, boxing. How much money did they spend to try to make the kids safe with the route? They have laws. They're banging ourselves. Boxing. I teach you things. There's a guy from Sandy Hook, Newtown, Connecticut, brought up the name O'Brien to me. Part of his confession. There's all kinds of medical corruption with Sandy Hook, Newtown. Opinion natures in the way of mandated law. And with the interbranch, they switch names. They forge names, roles. Preparing those souls. Vaccine. Yeah, I've been asking you for a while for a response on paper here. The time has come, the time pop out dashboard. I don't know what the pop out dashboard. Send feedback. If I say hello, people. By the way, YouTube. See the person who mentioned bagels a couple times in the comments, and he's going, "Oh, Dr. Wall." I told him I'm not a doctor a number of times. So there are police forums. So there was something to do with my sixth grade class, for example, where mayor had roles with kids' confessions and demonstrations and they brought up the phrase bagel. Now, these are also people through time and people currently involved then and now on my street with the interbranch, as the names involved forward, with predicate acts in cases, with the news media lying about the outcome of cases, fake conversations with me, fake conversations with others. Roger Shannon had fake conversations with me. He had conversations. They approached others. They want to communicate with them. They attach them to fake words and attach them to other than they pled and proved in cases, and people associated with them. They're bringing in, forcing people to speak as groups, because then they do little magic tricks where the federal evidence is crimes and predicate acts or methods are relevant. So New Britain Superior Court and Hartford courts and with other courts and on off the state judicial branch offices before the World Trade Center attack, these Connecticut intercities names on and off campuses and on and off the locations next to them. And the whole time parallel to that, using the sensibility of the people next to there. This is where he said, she said, is being and having been employed by a breaching method at all locations. Sickly, distinctly, criminally foreign influence from them interbranch, and from where and how that is grouped relevant. And all together, like when they speak for humanity. Don't look at New York City and don't pretend, don't anywhere across the globe is tactically denatured. How our founders and other modern countries' founders had to rely as individuals grouped in together, tactical terror from how nature has us individuals grouped in together is significant / hyper significant. Each thing is bound three ways. So I asked Judge Napolitan, I asked Judge Janine on social media. So now they have to self-value, needing to pretend that they don't, the what's in the database must be true. Or a judge said, that's the allegation. It's not an allegation, it's recorded, it's what actually recorded. Judges have been speaking fake things in records since I was a kid. The intelligence community has families involved on and off the three spots at the end of the Brown Turnpike, with on and off campuses and inter-campuses and intra-campuses uses of the corners of buildings and of corners of streets, and exceptions and exception nature relevant to that. There was a Rob Rodriguez who 3 times investigators influenced him to be around me criminally. And he brought up the principal child abusers campus. And there were more involved then and now with the police chief Cintron. And 1 year ago, I'm not sure of the name. There was another one brought up too, because I don't know if I spoke about it wrong. But that's their fault. Now they've been forging and switching names. There are 3 officers that use the name McGee, at least from Wethersfield. And these are people involved with their kids, men and women in the McGee family, one of them. And they also confessed as a threat and demonstration that they switch and forge names. They only have one on the records with the name McGee. He's also one of the ones rolls with a whole bunch of tied police reports since I was a kid. They they affect kids to bring up federal crimes and things like that. And then all these things about it. Then those kids go to the police, and those police, they painted themselves in corners. So then they had to pretend I spoke with them when I was a kid. They have people fabricating things into databases, interbranch, as ones that were involved with overt criminal enterprises when I was in grammar school, with lies with them, with pretending passions and emotions with them, various natures of federal criminals, for example. To discern that, you have to discern that first before they got caught. Who had kids in my town, and that were involved with like a John LeConte, a Thaddeus Grabowski, and some kids in my sixth grade class said that Lance Cuddy is involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me. Communicated that, hyper communicated. I don't know Lance Cuddy, but that was his demonstrated confirmed. Also, they said that there's a Lena's Pizza on Park Street in Hartford that was involved with my sixth grade class, which is a whole bunch of rolls with bagels and confessions and people that were involved with federal crimes with my street, that had a federal crimes with each of the grades I was in, and uses of the kids criminally. Now it's all right when someone wants to say, "Oh, you're crazy," or whatever like that. All right, get on paper though. Who says that? Who disbelieves? They put 10 things in the paper. They have more than one girl with the name, or woman with the name, or woman with the name Christine involved with New Britain Superior Court since she was a kid, involved with judges and with prosecutors and locations intercities that were criminally involved with her then and now. In other words, whether she realizes that or not, John Mayano, a whole bunch of different people associated with Elm Street and Rocky Hill and in Weathersfield, another Elm Street, have people involved down at the state judicial branch offices and at corners of buildings planting evidences, at crime scenes, rolls with that, with identity theft, fraud, slanders, hide what came before that, where relevant is where and how, employed to fact cheap nature racketeering and pretending other as patriotism natures, simultaneously pretending. They don't realize how our founders left us to tell. They had to leave the breaching method entrenched. Not one has wrenched. Not one has wrenched boxing. Prepare. I teach you that. So, the Pamphleteers and hyperjournalism is one of the many ways we're going to mean stack. Also, 1,000 tasks is one of the tools I use, where and how there are people involved with the arts community and interstates, with making movies and things like that, who are associated with the corner of Town Line Drive in the Southstein Highway, and with names associated with the spots next to it, involved with identity thefts and frauds with foreign and domestic medical families, overt criminal enterprises, and private ones, where and how also politicians, various natures, and other interbranch has been with them, kept needing to hide the same sequence shifts, roles with uses of kids in middle school, with their families involved with themselves, with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, the police forms. They have names from spots next to Hartford Hospital, involved with identity theft, fraud, slander. All the hospitals, though, have been involved with this interstates where they have open psychiatry and like mental health where they run mental health checks on people. Those locations have been involved with courts where and how they have been used remotely since founding. One of the things that Jim Crow laws are about is where and how courts and police forms and politicians were used and are used remotely, criminally foreign influence and pretending others simultaneously, which is also hyper-recorded. See, but we have to have mandated law followed outside of courts because they have been using interbranch locations to fabricate audio and video transcripts to replace what's actually recorded, and way worse, they fabricate police reports against each age. So they recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed the intelligence community on and off Trinity College and on and off Central Connecticut State University. That's in Hartford and one's in New Britain. They have roles with predicate acts with names on and off my street involved with that through time. The battle of mine! I want a response for the campus of the kids too. All the campuses. I want a response for Trinity College is involved with the principal child defender's campus. And they fabricated emails and they attached me to fake conversations in news. So they shut me out so I wouldn't be able to communicate or speak. And they would be able to use all exceptions, exception nature, little punk gangs. Little trash. Vaccines. I teach us things, but long. So we have to get my voice heard by the Judge Napolitano. They've been lying to me with the database. Then please, YouTube, don't take it personal. Don't believe in the integrity of the agencies. They have been discrediting good information. There have been roles with names with remote. They have, I don't even know the other names. They're black kids who are now black adults, for example, formal use their language, who are involved with some KKK themed and state police families, involved with the groups that are overt criminal enterprises and private ones, involved with planting evidences, a whole bunch of distinct natures and methods of organized crime and identity theft, fraud, slanders, instances, roles connected. Also to wear into how little kids want and need to be able to speak about what we sense actually simultaneously relevant, which is why and how we discern sickly distinctly. We don't like the way the Native Americans are prevented. That the means to our what is actually our strength / might to heal the tactically denatured identity grounds, identity relationship to itself. Even the colonists, let alone ourselves as American citizens, and with this hyper additionally as Native Americans and as ourselves. As the most important thing is, no matter who you are, we have to get the system to be hyper native again. We have to have the grounds identity of relation to itself. What really is going to cause positive value nature progressions, action nature. Because while it's showing us that, it leads us. See, the breaching method, while it made self-value counters, fact-sheet nature-oriented, to things like criminal insidiousness. It made them blame other things, others, and ourselves wrongly and defend them as styles of logic that could no longer afford a voice by the volume science we are as individuals grouped and together properly. Let alone as the science is hyper additional to this. So we're being forced to debate who's good or who's bad. And relevant to instances where they're leaving out the relevance of what came first and comes first. There are only three branches of government. Certain type of victim / hyper victim. It knew We blame other things, others, or selves. Self-value means handed to them. Like how a whole bunch, the systems where we a whole bunch of countries share roles on and off campuses. That is recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed. A whole bunch of levels of Connecticut, individually grouped and together, they have roles with these predicate acts methods relevant. Where it is juxtaposed with overt criminal enterprises, private ones. That insidiousness of people A through Z, speaking for positive or negative or identity anyway, as the bed breaching method only allow fathomable or to discern into ourselves. Colonization, what really divided Native Americans from the Native Americans, made them fight with each other. It has to do with everyone forced to speak through others, as group, and or as individual, who's not going to be allowed to use the order of the finite, who's not going to be allowed to use the relevance of the simultaneous. You have psychopaths who speak for logic, and they pretend it's about their ratings. If they wanted good ratings, they would follow mandated law. For San Diego, for Weathersfield Interbranch. Let's go! That's why they don't have let me know the names of the people that playing with the game to the corner with the black men and women who they used when they were kids. When they were using everyone sickly distinctly, where how that was applied for had something that had nothing to do with it. And their roles with the wire crimes and the uses of confessions, like all along where top 2 Rod Highway runs into Hangdog Lane. Train! So in other words, they pretend they want privacy. They don't want privacy because I wouldn't have to draw a map to get one name who disbelieves. They want to keep using interbranch locations to stack more fake things because they have roles, again, with bad things. You're going to see what's actually recorded, not legitimately. What are they going to say when you catch them? No. Here! My worthy. I didn't see your comment. Sorry. Thank you for stopping by for us. I think you have a nice good presence. Thank you. Thank you. So this is an income base. It's a way to force, discern, reveal, reveal. Real means out of nowhere. Real science. Money first, things fake. See, if anything, physics first is fake. And especially, so we need to have what is actually reported, discerned. See, a certain type of people try to speak for the law as what they call the law, as the identities. First responder too. The crafting, where they have even messaging itself, where intercampuses, distinctly individually grouped and together. They're worse than criminal incompetence / tactical delusions, where are relevant, where and how. What Jim Crow laws are about is our subject. So what really was they? Many pray about me. small seas calls us to the wind. It says, come on, come on. Yeah. Egypt. Yeah. So not only the sciences work first without criminal foreign influences, and they realize there's one identity that has an identity relationship to itself. And only increasing value of that we have no control over but one way. Many very vaccines. The way is to stay positive to 5 identities of order simultaneously. There are simultaneously 3 ways, distinct and non-distinct, and simultaneously. But simultaneously all things itself. Now we begin by observing the identity, the value of the identity of discernment of the discernment distinctly as a distinct identity of simultaneous nature / sequence nature. The hyper-simultaneous. Ability to where individual is an identity of body. Distinctly from being grouped, but that's simultaneously too. No, that's not the boxing. That teaches things, but there's the species body of volume. Here, clear, slash unclear. Listen, everybody, listen. Here, all set promote. Species body, got a plan. Listen, every boy and girl, every lady man. I got a plan. Listen, folks. Listen here, I'll tell you, it's no joke. Yeah. Before we have the sophistication to put down, grounded, pantheism as a value progression about the identity of the hyper-simultaneous. Pantheism was more probably about the identity of the hyper-simultaneous. Now proofs and all the things are all clear. Other intended through the voices, here I self-promote. Chicken of the land, we were to say, Madison and for George Washington. Oh, the souls you get didn't give away. Without it happening. Value that there was more. Logic needs it as a premise, as a breaching screen to show. Sometimes rain will fall from the sky, sometimes won't it all, sometimes will fall. Sometimes rain will fall, sometimes will no. Boxing is all blood, smile to and fro. Maybe boxing's a little hot, little cold, little warm. Y'all won't even hear what I'm yeah. American YouTubers. American YouTubers is the plan. So in other words, this becomes a whole, better than a whole motion picture industry. And we just put all the money goes into this plan where we're also, it has to go locked. It has to be 10 times the amount of dollars. It has to go with little functions where no, we're going to get more than our effort, our money worth. Every negative we make positive, but it has to be a negative positive that's also positive unto itself. So some things that we're going to be an identity of company. There's going to be unlike, we're going to be a nature of company that is unlike any others. And we don't have to worry about the money because I'm not collecting money, and nobody that is going to be involved with our video plan will collect money. No, this is not about that. We're going to just show the principles of hyperjournalism and of the pamphleteers, where our founders had to counter-extort the other founders and everyone else, A through Z, and their identity, ground, locations, names, roles further, which had all been employed, only known as the styles, natures of logic that have only been known and employed since ancient times. As colonization, for example, as colonization's members that were using remotely critically foreign influence, all the colonies north and south. Slavery was entrenched north and south before our founders were even born. Boxing. Prepare your souls. I teach you things belong. And I don't know. I don't want to start using names. They force people to use names. I'm like, we're going to go to the court, we're going to figure this out. They got accepted the exception nature, and they give the benefit of the doubt to the interbranch. They plot to have that done criminally. There are other methods and motivations, nature's needs and interests that are associated with where and how people of each age and affect human nature effectively were and are sickly distinctly now maintain self-valued roles with the breaching method as fact human nature oriented predicate acts roles. As free fact human nature oriented criminal insidious natures of positive treatments, negative treatments, identity treatments, roles, value treatments. Boxing, martial arts, and wrestling. Or probably in ancient times they've been real. Everyone that fists up with the shield. We must not yield. Species, body, volume, science clear. Romulus is time, Republic, Jill. Okay, thank you. Have a great night. Boxing, fight! But in the ring by rules. On the paper, edge. Or speak real calm. To change my behavior, not from where you are, nor here, nor from beyond. Thank you.